So with all this midterm news going around, it's got me really reminiscing about my experience with my own midterm election.
Of course.
And that was in 5th grade when I decided to run as the incumbent for 5th grade student council.
Incumbent
in 4th grade, I ran uncontested because why not, and just got the position. Obviously didn't do shit because you're an elementary schooler on student. You have no power.
Yeah.
It's a fake position. But anyway, I ran again in 5th grade, feeling gassed up, right?
Right.
And the people, the homies I was running against, right? Everybody's talking about like lunch. Like, oh my God, we're going to fix school lunches, bro. You're in 5th grade.
Yeah,
but
right.
I digress. That's basically the platform I ran on was, bro, you're in 5th grade. There's nothing we're going to do for school lunches. Like,
Right. So
let's focus on something practical.
You were calling them out for treating the voters as if they're stupid.
Exactly.
Right.
I was the realist candidate in
Right,
5th grade.
right.
And I got fucking packed up. I don't know if I got a single vote.
I bet
Crazy.
it was the big money influx that they got.
It was
to
the
boost their
big money
campaign.
influx. It was the I'm gonna make school lunches better. French toast every day. You know what I'm saying?
Damn, how many people ran against
Like
you?
2, and they both ran on the same platform.
And which one won?
I cannot remember, but it
Just
was
one
not
of them?
me. It was not me, the honest candidate. You know?
That's messed up. It's because in politics today, honesty is not rewarded.
Oh no! It taught me a very valuable lesson that I would take with me to right now while I have a very small time political podcast where now I get to talk about that exact same thing I experienced firsthand.
Exactly. You learned that day that sometimes in order to win, you just gotta fucking
You gotta lie. That's why my motto today is lie, deny.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You just gotta make stuff up, tell people what they want to hear, and then do absolutely nothing when you get into office because you don't actually have the power to do it.
Exactly. Because basically, like, it's like you don't have any power anyway. So what are you gonna do?
See, like Gage is the real victim here.
I am the real
You ran
victim here.
uncontested. No shame in that. You know,
No shame. No shame.
Many House districts throughout the whole nation are
Exactly.
not competitive.
Come
You know,
on.
people just win by default a lot of the time. And then they got the big money influx and started lying.
My
they got the super
incumbent-
PAC money.
My incumbent advantage didn't matter because I refused to lie.
Exactly.
That's why you all can trust me.
You had that name recognition. Everyone knew who you
So
were.
true. I was like Gage Cawthorn, the big time
Exactly.
4th grade student council guy. He really fought for us. So many things changed.
You were basically, God, what was the New York mayor before Eric Adams?
Fuck.
Bill de Blasio.
Yes,
That's who you were.
Bill de Blasio. Oh,
And
God.
they just treated you poorly. You know?
I know. It's ridiculous, bro.
It's like once you become student body president or whatever you were.
I know.
Of the student body, people just start hating you.
Thank God I had that experience in 5th grade, and I never once again ran for like any other like school student organization.
You became disillusioned.
That shit is fucking stupid. in like middle school and high school, if you're like the student body president, bro, fuck you. Like.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
Woo!
I'm glad now that you understand why Gage has become entirely disillusioned with
Why I'm
all
a doomer.
things government.
That's why.
Welcome back to the Head in the Office podcast. We've got a absolutely loaded show for you today.
Oh, yes, we do.
We're going to talk about some midterm updates. We got some Uvalde police controversy we got to talk about. Big
Facts.
controversy. We got some J6 news, J6 committee news. And also Bernie Sanders and Lindsey Graham had a debate. Content made just for us.
That's right. That's
So
right. We're
we'll
going
get to
back
that
to
at the
our
end.
roots, baby. Debate
That's right.
coverage.
That's right. But before we get into it, do I even really have to say it? I'm gonna, but I feel like I shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't have to, but you do.
Yeah. So I'm going to have to tell you all, go to the Patreon, go to the YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Discord, go to our second YouTube channel.
Oh.
Check out all of our content. Become a patron. Consider it.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, so that you know when we go live on
Exactly,
TikTok, because
exactly.
we'll tweet about it.
A
We'll
merch
post it.
drop is literally imminent.
Insane.
We can't reveal too many details right now, but
So
Coordinated
true.
Drip Campaign Volume 1 dropping soon.
Exactly.
It's dropping soon. And we'll get all the info to you when it's time. But for now, I need you to be patient.
Oh, God.
I just need your unfettered patience.
So true.
And I need you to just coalesce all power into me right now.
And-
I am the despot.
We need you to ramp up this 5-star review production.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm calling on you to please ramp it up. We have 1 to read today, but that's dangerously close to 0.
Look, we have we can see the stats. We got about 40% of you that listen on Apple. Okay?
Exactly.
We have not read 40% of your reviews.
That's like
Where are your reviews at?
400 of you.
Right.
Ridiculous.
Where is that at?
Come on. now.
But we do have one. Just one.
We do.
From Avery 90738.
A true soldier, a champion of democracy.
That's right. Subject line 15 out of 10. They say, As a fellow college student who doesn't have a lot of time to pay attention to everything that happens in politics, they help keep me up to date on all the bat crazy things going on. Keep up the great work.
What can we say?
That's what we do around here.
You keep up the great work, supporting the show in every way you can.
A real soldier of democracy. That means we've hit 100 reviews so far.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
I think two of them, well, one of them's a 1-star review. They didn't say anything, though.
Oh, true.
And then another one is a 3-star review. They also didn't say anything. So someone thinks we're mid.
Have no feedback.
And someone thinks we fucking suck.
Ridiculous.
But 98 of you don't think so.
I think wasn't there someone who left a review a while ago, like someone we know from high school that we made fun of on Instagram because not because we were like bullying him. He was like a MAGA Trump guy, and he posted, what was it that he posted?
I don't even remember.
It was something incredibly stupid about
corniest shit of all time.
Woke people and real antagonistic. And so we obviously hit him in the comments and we're like, dog, this is embarrassing.
I feel like it was right after. I remember what it was. It was right after Pride Month had ended because that's when I just came down to Virginia with you on July 2nd. And it was this dude celebrating that Pride Month was done.
And
everyone just clowned on him.
Bro was just being homophobic, so we had to hit the comments and clown on him. And shortly after that, we announced that we were starting this. So
I'm sure he gave us a bad review, but it's fine because we have 4.9 average. That's pretty good.
It doesn't even fucking matter. Insignificant statistically. An outlier.
But getting right into the news coverage here today, we have some very strange news.
Oh, yeah.
That I don't think is 100% true.
Yeah, no.
But I wanted to go over it because it's fucking crazy. So last week, a PAC known as American Muckrakers released a document that accuses Representative Lauren Beobert, friend of the show, of previously being a paid escort and having 2 abortions before she was elected to Congress. So that's wild.
That is wild.
Go ahead.
Didn't they also accuse her of having sex with Ted Cruz?
Kind of.
Okay.
So their document, a quote from their document, it says, quote, according to our investigation, Beobert was hired by a wealthy male client in Aspen, Colorado, who was a member of the Koch family.
Okay.
Beaubert's rich client subsequently introduced her to U.S. Senator Ted Cruz to run for political office. So I feel like the implication here is that she might have slept with Ted Cruz. And then they later on say that Ted Cruz got more than $136,000 from Ted Cruz in campaign funding.
And didn't they cite like there was like $70,000 in campaign contributions that Ted Cruz donated that you can see in his filings that is like unaccounted for?
Yeah.
And shit like that.
Because Ted Cruz filed that he had like donated it.
Yeah.
And then Lauren Beobert didn't report it. So there's like a discrepancy in the FEC filings, which is how they apparently had found out about this.
Okay.
Again, I don't think she slept with Ted Cruz.
I don't think any of this is real except for maybe she got an abortion in the past. Right. But obviously we don't fucking care.
Right.
It's insane that conservatives care. It's overall just fucking insane. And isn't this the same PAC that did the Madison Cawthorn stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was about to get into. Is my thought is that Madison Cawthorn got packed up. You know, he got. And now the establishment is going after similar Madison Cawthorn types.
They're looking for a twofer.
Yeah. It's not Marjorie Taylor Greene yet because I think she raises a lot of money for them.
True.
Lauren Beaubert's just kind of fucking annoying.
Big facts, honestly.
Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, she'll go to CPAC, she'll go to Nazi rallies, she'll cause lots of trouble. But in the end, she's still like a big figure that raises a lot of money.
True.
Lauren Beobert doesn't raise the money and only causes problems, just like Madison Cawthorn. So I'm thinking that they're trying to get rid of her as well. It's a move from the establishment.
But it's like the thing that they were trying to allege. They alleged that she was like a sugar baby on like sugarbabymeat.com or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And they had found these 2 pictures that were in some database. But then it's like you do a little more research and you find out that those were actually pictures she submitted to some modeling agency because she was trying to be a model or something. Yeah. And they just happened to end up in other places. So that's just a straight up lie. And I don't know why they felt the need to throw the she met with Ted Cruz and a Koch brother in there.
I don't know.
It's so outlandish.
It is very outlandish, but it also makes me think like all the info they revealed about Madison Cawthorn was real.
But so they had videos. They had videos from Madison. They had videos of him humping his cousin.
I don't think this is all real, nor do I really think it'll have that much of an impact on her campaign.
I don't think so.
I mean, she was just at some Christian conference saying Jesus should have had AR-15s, and the crowd goes crazy.
Because then the government wouldn't have killed him.
Right.
That's right.
If the Roman Empire would have all had AR-15s, it would have been much easier to defend Jesus Christ. But yeah, they said they accused her of being on sugardaddymeat.com.
Yep.
Which is what you just mentioned. And then they said, I don't know how they would have found out about this.
Neither do I.
But they said she had 2 abortions and at least one was from her work. One in 2004 and then one in 2009, both at Planned Parenthood.
No, but like literally, how do you find out about that? How do you find out like dates like that?
Planned Parenthood, pretty sure, like does not reveal that information.
Yeah,
like regardless of who's looking into it.
I'm pretty sure it's illegal to reveal any of that information in any capacity unless there's like some serious investigation.
Yeah, there's got to be some like confidential aspect there.
There's a whistleblower,
like an attorney-client privilege type beat. You know what I'm saying? Like there's got to be something like that there. But yeah, my sneaking suspicion is they're trying to give her the Madison Cawthorn treatment, and my thought is that some GOP congressman, you know, whoever it is trying to leak a bunch of information to a liberal PAC that they know will just eat this shit up.
No, for real.
Because that's really what it was. Like, we know Tom Tillis was just undermining Madison Cawthorn.
Oh, absolutely. Which is like, it's also kind of weird that these attacks are coming from a liberal PAC, considering that all the Madison Cawthorn stuff was pretty much centered around homophobia. And all of this is just misogyny. Like, all these attacks are just rooted in misogyny. No one should care that she'd done any of this, but the GOP voter base does, and that's a bad thing in of itself.
Yeah.
You know? If she did any of this, I wouldn't be surprised if she had abortions. I don't fucking care if she had abortions. She's evil in many other ways, you know?
I mean, that's the classic strategy of undermining like far right politicians.
Oh,
though.
absolutely.
It's like, well, you had an abortion, or like a woman that you had an affair with had an abortion. So who are you to say that we can't get one?
Like, that's another thing is conservative politicians, their wives, people they have affairs with, have abortions all the fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
There's like one that gets caught every month, I swear.
I mean, it's the same thing like with the vaccine. You know, Tucker Carlson saying like the vaccine's bad, they shouldn't force you to take it. Meanwhile, Fox mandated that everyone take the vaccine. Like it's bullshit. They don't fucking care.
All horseshit.
None of them are real. None of them operate in good faith. The Republican Party is evil as always.
On God.
Anyway, Uvalde?
Moving on to a quick Uvalde update. So some I would like to think pretty big news has come out of Uvalde. Basically, the Uvalde Police Department and the city, which teamed up with the police department, has hired private lawyers to submit an appeal to Ken Paxton.
That's already bizarre.
The Texas AG. They've hired private lawyers outside of the regular city lawyer that they already have, like at their disposal, to argue that the AG needs to throw out all 148 public records requests just at once. At once.
That's mighty suspicious behavior.
Which is kind of crazy because amongst the public records request includes things like the criminal backgrounds of the cops, body camera footage, and communications from like the school shootings, right? And they took a big stance on the criminal backgrounds one, saying that could be very embarrassing and it could cause like moral distress or just like psychological distress to the officers who have that information revealed. Which is already like, I mean, I fucking guess. And they said that it's of no use to the public, which, one, I feel like that is the only somewhat valid claim they have, although it's not valid for the reasons that they think. You know what I mean?
I mean, of no use to the public. I feel like it's just being transparent.
I think it's of no use with regards to the shooting, but I think that is of very much like useful information to the public to know that these cops that serve you, I don't know, maybe beat their wives, Google 40% of cops.
Right.
Like, I think that's very useful information in general, and that should always be something that's transparent, especially considering that if you have a felony or misdemeanor, you can't get a regular fucking job. You can barely flip burgers if you have that. You can barely get a job at a retail chain if you have a felony or any sort of criminal record, but you can be a cop. So one, that's a huge red flag. And two, the bigger red flag with regards to all this is they're trying to not release any of the body cam information and any of the communications because they say it could give criminals insight into how they like predict and prevent crime. One, you did not predict, nor did you prevent this fucking school shooting. You did nothing. And they said this would give people response into how police respond to crime. You did not respond to this crime until like an hour and 17 minutes later. What the fuck are you talking about?
You should always, if you're a lover of freedom, democracy, you know, you like free society, you should always be against police tactics being used in secret.
Yeah.
Because that is fucking awful. I mean, yeah, in general, like you said, they didn't prevent this crime.
Absolutely not.
Nor do they ever prevent crime.
Which is crazy, just because there are more and more things that come. There's a New York Times article that came out yesterday, 18 hours ago, for when we recorded this on Saturday. It came out on Friday, talking about how investigations have revealed that there was a cop. You know how cops had arrived on the scene before he went into the school after he crashed his car and he was just shooting around, like in general, just shooting. There's a cop that arrived on the scene that had a shot on him before he got into the school, but he didn't take the shot because in the cop's own words from this New York Times article, he said there were kids playing in the background and he was scared he was going to hit them. One, that's a really weird way to phrase that.
I can't fucking aim.
No. He said there are kids playing in the background while also describing that he's shooting indiscriminately at the school and at the funeral home that's across the street from the school. Why would you say they're playing in the background when we have a 911 call from the same New York Times article that was released talking about how a guy called 911 and said there are kids running away from an active shooter, and he didn't take the shot because he was scared that he might have hit a kid. So instead of taking the shot in fear that he could hit a bystander, he let him go in and just fucking shoot up the school.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a little fucked. That's a little fucked.
Like, it's like we already know that the Uvalde Police Department has lied about things. Like there's absolutely no reason that they wouldn't release this the body cam footage. The only reason is that if they've done something wrong.
They did something horribly wrong.
Provably wrong. And isn't the controversy right now that they're not releasing the body cam footage because they may have like shot an innocent person?
There are people saying, like, around, I've seen it on Twitter, I've seen it on a couple Reddit threads, that maybe they're not releasing the footage because they might have shot a kid or like shot a teacher or something.
Oh my God.
And honestly, that'd be fucking crazy. I don't know if I don't 100% believe that because it's so outlandish.
Yeah.
But conspiracies like that, I don't mind getting big attention because if more people start to believe it, they'll have to their hand will be forced. They'll have to release the body cams, and I think that's a good thing. It's like a lesser of two evils situation. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just like, why are they hiring a private law firm?
I don't. You have city attorneys. Like,
that's what I was wondering. Like, don't they
things.
have district attorneys that they would go? Like, that's who usually defends the state and the police. With whatever they want to pursue legally.
Yeah.
Why would they go with a private law firm? Like, that's even more suspicious.
They're also blocking like all the communication from the city attorney from like getting out anywhere, which like kind of understand as like a reasonable thing because there's an ongoing investigation. But still, you know, they explicitly said in this article that I read that if they release this information, it would, quote, expose weaknesses in police responses to crimes and expose, quote, methods, techniques, and strategies for preventing and predicting crime. You did not do either of these things effectively.
It's a fucking cop-out.
Maybe these things should be exposed to force you to do better.
Yeah.
Maybe that's kind of a reasonable check on police departments in general. That should be a thing. Maybe we should be aware of how they respond to crime so that they're forced to be better at responding to crime.
That 100% should be a transparent thing. Again, the state and the violent forces of the state should not be operating in secrecy. Like, we should know what they do when they're interacting with civilians because like this is just this argument is just built on the foundation that like everyone needs to be treated as a potential criminal.
And
then citizens, like,
except the
law-abiding citizens, should just not understand what cops are doing or their procedures, techniques, rules, or anything like that.
Everyone should be treated as a criminal except the cops who may have criminal records, but we'll never know.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Right.
But if you have a criminal record, if you sold drugs to feed your family, you can't get a job anymore.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is up with that?
Yeah, no, the tactics of the police should never be secret.
And I also just want to point out how, like, borderline unprecedented and weird and extremely sus that it is for them to lump all 148 requests into one summary judgment. You don't usually do that. The only reason that you would want to do something like that is so that you can use the weird fringe cases to throw out the big things like body cameras.
Yeah.
Because if Ken Paxton decides that, okay, yeah, you can't, like, they don't have to release the criminal records of cops, then everything's thrown out.
Is
Like,
Ken Paxton a Greg Abbott appointee?
He's the Texas Attorney General. So
I don't know. Are they elected in that state?
I don't know.
Well, regardless, if he's like a Greg Abbott lover, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
if
facts. I feel like I remember hearing bad things about him with regards to the trans.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Most people in positions of power in Texas are pretty bad. So
that's crazy, though. That's crazy. I guess we'll just wait to see
as more information comes out. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's some suspicious behavior, though. Police bad. All right, folks. We've got some more midterm coverage for you all.
You know what it is.
This week, we're going to Illinois and Arizona. First off, Illinois, gubernatorial race.
Ooh.
We got some interesting candidates that I want to go over here.
Okay.
Today. Their primary for governor is heating up. I believe the election is like next week or in 2 weeks or something like that from the time this pod drops. It's currently a field of 6 candidates, but there's only 3 that really have a chance at winning. There's
Makes
3
sense.
main front runners or 3 that are like kind of tied for first in the margin of error. That kind of thing. The first one is Darren Bailey.
Okay.
He's a current state senator, and he's the front runner of the race by a few percentage points.
Wow.
He is famous. Wow. He's famous for He's famous for constantly calling Chicago a crime-ridden hellhole.
Oh,
which I have to believe is racially motivated.
That should be separated from the rest of Illinois. Oh my God.
Gage beat me to the punch, but yeah, he said that Chicago should be like basically separated from Illinois, the opposite of annexed, whatever that means.
That's.
I gotta believe that's racially motivated.
100%. There's no realm where that is not racially motivated. Let me tell you, I'm gonna guess that if this guy is the front runner, I want to say there are absolutely no progressives like even coming close to winning the governorship.
I mean, right now it's a Democrat that sits in the governor's seat.
Okay.
So the GOP primary is to challenge him.
Okay.
And like all of them are just ghouls on the Republican
Jesus
side.
Christ.
But like, how can you? First of all, I mean, the Chicago is a hellhole thing is just like a classic Republican fear-mongering crime strategy.
100%.
But saying that has to be separated from Illinois, like you got to win those votes, dog.
No facts.
Like, don't you want to win?
Isn't that a significant portion of Illinois lives in Chicago?
Basically all of Illinois.
Isn't that most of the fucking population?
Well, it's like there's plenty of Republicans in Illinois, but Chicago obviously carries the state vote-wise. It's like you got to get those if you want to win the primary.
It's like how Wayne County basically determines who wins in Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah. And his district, I was looking at their district maps. His current district is pretty far from Chicago. It's like in the south, very rural area of Illinois.
I'm surprised it's not in just the Chicago suburbs.
That would have been very funny. But yeah, he wants to separate Chicago from the rest of Illinois. He's also sued the current governor, J.B. Pritzker, for his COVID-19 measures, calling them like tyrannical and stuff.
I love that. I love slap lawsuits.
Yeah, that's one of the candidates that we got running for the Illinois governor's
Quite the character.
Race. The next one, though. Richard Irving, he's the current mayor of Aurora, Illinois, which is about 50 miles west of Chicago.
Oh,
so kind
for
of
real?
in the suburbs area. He was the front runner for a while.
All right.
When he first came onto the scene, but he's now in second place, teetering on third place.
Cool.
His main policy is literally just fund the police as much as possible.
Damn.
Like, that's it.
God damn.
That's his only platform policy is just give the police more money.
Wow.
He doesn't have much else on his platform, and I think my prediction, and I haven't been following this race super closely up until like now when I was doing research for the section, but my thought is that he's trying to compensate for a controversy he got into in 2020.
Oh, no.
Because back when the BLM protests were going on, he said that he was conflicted because he's a black man and he saw the death of George Floyd and felt conflicted about the BLM movement and also his support for police.
So
my thought is that he had one moment of clarity where he thought maybe we're the bad guys and now the conservatives are just dogging on him. Like they call him a liberal. They say like he supports abortions. They say he supports BLM. Like he's trying to get away from that.
His only policy platform in this is just fund the police?
I'm sure he's got other things like on his website,
but functionally
his main policy platform is just like give the police every
Bro's just running on ramp it up, give the police grenade launchers, give the police Berettas, just going crazy.
Bro literally stopped for one moment to think like, maybe black people shouldn't be killed by the police. And then every conservative is like, you're a liberal. Like, get the fuck out.
Maybe these things like these positions are contradictory. I'm gonna have to do some real thinking to find the truth of this. And it's just, you fucking liberal, you dirty liberal.
The third candidate that is vying for the spot, has a chance at actually winning is Jesse Sullivan. And this guy might be my favorite.
Oh.
He's currently in third place, sitting at like 17% in the polls. And he is a self-proclaimed venture capitalist.
I love it when they call them. That's honestly even worse than being a venture capitalist is calling yourself a venture capitalist. Come on.
I don't even know what his business is, but he calls himself a venture capitalist. He was trailing for a while, like he was pretty far behind, but after the debates happened, I think there was 2, he shot up in the polls quite a bit.
Nice.
So people liked him. And I think people like him because he literally gave me David McCormick vibes, like biologically engineered to be a politician. He says he worked on the farm as a child. But I can't believe that. I feel like he's just one of these guys that like puts on a flannel and takes pictures in a barn.
The Tucker Carlson, the Tucker Carlson woodshop photo shoot. Okay.
He's one of those conservatives.
No, he's a fucking venture capitalist. He absolutely did not work.
That's what I'm saying.
He did not come from humble beginnings. Or maybe he did, but it doesn't matter because the way that his relations to just class has changed just is completely different now that he cannot channel any of the things that he may have grew up with.
Yeah.
Just because of his relation to capital.
He
like,
says,
come on
I'm
now.
a venture capitalist, but I'm also a farm worker that knows what you're going through.
I'm a venture capitalist, but I'm also working class.
I'm going to buy all of Chicago, and then we're going to separate it.
I was going to say, bro's platform is probably just gentrify Chicago.
Yeah.
Let's get the black people out of Chicago. Come on.
And he's one of those conservatives that says he's like anti-politician.
Oh.
And he wants to like combat corruption, which like I was looking on his website, and some of his anti-corruption things were like honestly not that bad, like term limits and stuff like that, like financial disclosures, that kind of thing. But like, none of it's real.
Milquetoast.
Yeah. None of it's actually real. He's also running a very tough on crime campaign.
Oh wow.
He says as a part of his Safe Streets plan that he on his website he said, quote, he will relentlessly defend qualified immunity against attacks from the left.
Wow. I feel like nobody on the left is actually seriously talking about qualified immunity anymore.
Not anymore.
I feel like we're the only people who have talked about it in like the last couple months. That's the only time I've heard it brought up.
We're the vanguard.
Wait a
minute.
Yeah.
Maybe we're the only ones that are right. And then he had a power to the parents section on his website.
No, he did not. Jesus.
And he said he wants to defund teachers unions.
My God, that's not how that works. That's not how. That doesn't.
I mean, he's doing the defund the police grift, of course. And I know that Chicago had that big like teachers union strike because of COVID procedure, or because the COVID protocols weren't being followed and they were trying to be like forced back into the school.
Because it matters for them.
Right. Because it matters for them as workers and also matters for students that could get sick and then not be able to attend school and then not be learning.
Might not be able to live afterwards.
But he says specifically that he wants to, quote, ban political giving from teachers unions, which is literally unconstitutional.
Yeah, what?
Because Citizens United guaranteed that bodies like unions or corporations are people that can speak and have super PACs and stuff like that. So that's not allowed.
That's not allowed. No,
Can't be doing that.
No.
Anyway, those are the three front runners right now. Darren Bailey's in the lead. We'll see what happens with him.
I love the way that Ron DeSantis has just like Ron DeSantis style rhetoric has just infected conservative primaries across the nation just with the parents' rhetoric. That shit is ridiculous.
I think Ron DeSantis has an election this year. I think he's got a November election. I think. I could be wrong. But I
think Ron DeSantis has an election in 2024, baby.
He better have an election in 2024. I'm pulling for him.
I'm confident. I'd put money on it right now that if Trump isn't running, then Ron DeSantis will take the nomination.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
I'm interested in seeing if Trump does run.
No,
Ron
facts.
DeSantis
That's the big.
I don't know how you would campaign against him, but maybe. Anyway, about 27% of Republican voters are currently undecided for the GOP primary in Illinois.
I mean, they have quite the decisions in front of them.
Which is a big chunk. They got a choice of the guy who, is literally just race baiting over Chicago.
Yeah.
And wants to get rid of Chicago, give it to, like, I don't know, Ohio or something. Give it to a neighboring state. You got the guy whose literally only policy is funding the police.
Okay.
Because he's afraid of being called a Black Lives Matter supporter.
Facts.
And then you got the actual embodiment of capital. So.
God damn, bro. Just Mr. Gentrify.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Illinois. Shout out Illinois, for real.
Yeah. For those of you that are from Illinois, maybe for those of you that live in Chicago, I hope you don't get kicked out of your own state.
I wonder if they have any real chance of like winning the race in November.
I don't know. I don't know what the perception is like for the Democrat. I know there's a primary challenger for the Democratic governor, but I don't think that the primary challenger will incumbent advantage, something that you had didn't work.
I know,
but
ridiculous.
Maybe it'll work for this guy.
Okay,
but I guess we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. The election is June 28th, primary election, so coming up pretty soon.
Oh, for real?
Get results in about 10 days from the time this is recorded, so that's exciting.
That is very exciting, actually.
Moving on to Arizona, though.
Okay, that's the great state of Arizona. Kyrsten Sinema. Mark Kelly, another great.
Kelly.
Are we talking about Mark Kelly today?
Mark Kelly isn't the focus.
Okay.
But this is the GOP primary for Senate in Arizona.
Nice.
And whoever wins this will go on to face our favorite centrist astronaut, Mark Kelly.
I love that so much.
So that's what this race is for. It is who's going to go on to face Mark Kelly.
Didn't you post on our Instagram story or like on Twitter like a Mark Kelly ad you saw on Instagram? And this fucking dude, he literally just went into Notes app and said, "Hey, give me money." Yeah,
I can't even remember what the specific like bullet points were, but he literally went into his Notes app, put a blue circle, and it said like, "I'm asking for money for my Senate campaign."
Just screenshotted the Notes app message.
Screenshotted it and posted it, then paid for an Instagram ad.
That's worse than the YouTube ad that I see every once in a while of Chuck Schumer, where he's just like standing in front of a wall, like the one we have here in the studio, a gray wall with harsh lighting shining right on his face, just saying, "Guys, please, the GOP, they're going to take control of the Senate if you don't donate to the Democratic Party."
Like, dog, you need to say that, like, Republicans want to give your bosses all the power so you'll just actually be slaves.
Dog, fuck that. You need to say that Republicans are going to come in and rip your fucking head off and literally kill you if you don't. That's what they're basically doing.
Yeah. You say the Republican Party is literally the KKK. Like, they are actually just evil. Anyway, that's the race for who's going to run against Mark Kelly in Arizona. There's also 3 candidates for this race, and a very interesting dynamic is developing that I think we need to talk about. So the first candidate...
Are they as exciting as the Illinois candidates?
I think they might be even more exciting.
No shot.
Specifically for one candidate, but I'll get there. I'll get there. So the first one is Jim Lamon. He's a billionaire businessman. He made his fortune off of solar power and also investing in steel, electrical, and construction companies, various other things.
Wait, he made his fortune off of solar power?
Yeah.
Isn't it one of like the hottest issues right now, how we should be drilling more fossil fuels? Is he just going to cuck himself?
Because I was looking up this dude because I think he was a front runner, or maybe he's fallen behind. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But they said it was a billionaire, so I was like, all right, how'd this dude make his money?
Yeah.
And he like had some company that invested big into solar energy.
Is he just going to cuck himself when it comes to energy policy then? Renewables don't work as he has a solar country? Like,
I've made billions off of my company, but...
I've made billions off of my renewable energy company. However, we need to return to oil and gas.
The next candidate is Mark Brnovich, who is the current state attorney general for Arizona. But he's struggling in the polls right now because he refused to overturn the election for Donald Trump in 2020. Why'd you have that reaction to Mike?
Because I remembered the innocence is not enough ruling and how it was Arizona versus Barry. Yeah. And then I was thinking it was the attorney general, but it was the prosecutor. Oh, okay. It was the state prosecutor that went hard after him. But I'm sure this guy was complicit in that decision and also has blood on his hands.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a hero of democracy for not literally overturning an election.
That's true. Oh, so he's going to lose, basically, then, if we're talking about a Republican primary.
And then the last dude is my favorite, Blake Masters.
That's such a fake name.
Yeah, and he's been in the headlines quite a bit throughout this year. He's a former tech executive. He's considered to be like the outsider candidate, and he's also the one who got the Trump endorsement.
A tech executive?
Yeah.
With a Trump endorsement?
That's the dynamic I wanted to talk about. So the election isn't until August 2nd, so they have quite a while until they actually have to go and vote. But the polls right now are pretty even. Right now, Masters is in the lead with 27%. Brnovich is in second place with 24%, and the billionaire guy is in third place with 17%. But this race is interesting to me for one reason, and that's because the main attack against Masters is that he's connected to Peter Thiel. You know who Peter Thiel is?
Oh, yeah.
Peter Thiel is a tech billionaire. He was an early investor in Facebook, might still be invested in Facebook. Lots and lots of money. Literally the definition of Silicon Valley, right?
Yeah,
big crypto guy.
Facts.
And he right now is giving millions, Peter Thiel is giving millions and millions of dollars to super PACs that support Blake Masters. And Peter Thiel, of course, is also a Trump ally. Okay. And I think it's so interesting that Blake Masters is leading. He's got the Trump endorsement, and he's also backed by Silicon Valley. Conservatives literally don't give a fuck about Silicon Valley unless they can complain that they're being banned for being transphobic.
No, literally, they don't care. They don't care about. They were railing all of like last year against big tech. We literally had congressional hearings about what we should do about big tech, especially back when the I completely forgot what the numbers are for the thing. The big thing about like censorship and moderation.
Yeah.
Something was happening. They were railing against big tech and Twitter censorship and like how they're encroaching on the First Amendment. But now they accept the Silicon Valley.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, guys.
Like this guy, first of all, already had big investments into tech, to big tech.
Do you know what he did? What he came up on? If he's like a tech guy?
I don't remember.
Crazy.
But he's already got big investments in the tech. He's backed by Peter Thiel, literally, who was a big investor in Facebook, might still be a big investor in Facebook, made lots of money off of crypto and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That guy is supported by Trump and supports Donald Trump. and they also they all just support each other, and they're funding super PACs that are supporting Blake Masters. They don't give a fuck about this. That's like my point. My whole point here is that they literally do not care about Silicon Valley or big tech or censorship at all, as long as it's their own guy doing it. You know what I mean?
Do we know any of their like policy positions?
What do you mean?
Like any of these candidates, like policy positions?
I mean, it was just like the basic conservative grift, you know, like teachers are indoctrinating our students.
Okay, because I was going to say, like, based on their backgrounds, this seems like a liberal race. You got the tech guy, you got the billionaire that made his business off of fucking renewable energies, and then the attorney. That seems like a liberal race, you know?
Well, it's a Republican primary, apparently.
That's
I mean, I know
crazy.
Arizona's getting more blue, but these guys are pretty fucking insane. It seems like Blake Masters is going to carry it, though.
That's such a fake name.
Yeah. And like, I say all of this, and I know all of this because a consultant for Blake Masters literally said that the voters don't care about Masters being supported by Silicon Valley because they know Peter Thiel is, quote, one of them.
It's the same thing as now Twitter's going to be okay because Elon Musk is buying it. Like, it's the exact same thing. It's when our guy has control, it's okay.
Yeah.
But they lie about it. At least I'm honest about it when I say that. You know?
Yeah, it's like there are real problems with big tech and tech companies and who is in control of quote-unquote free speech. But again, conservatives just get angry because they can't be openly transphobic on the timeline anymore.
And it's like that's what they complain about. It's the free speech part of it. It's more about how they control the flow of information that is bad. It's less about you being banned for saying you're going to kill a congressman. And more about stopping the flow of information from getting to people who may need it, or maybe perpetuating genocides in Myanmar.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Anyway, they don't object to like people having extreme power over free speech. They just want to be the ones that have extreme power over free speech.
Exactly.
And it's like
they're billionaires.
The billionaires already fucking side with them. Like if they just learned how to act right on social media, they would be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just don't be openly racist. Like, nobody's getting banned. We've said this before. Nobody's getting banned for having just genuine conservative takes.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. Absolutely nobody. But if you're going to go on there and, you know, support white replacement theory, then yeah.
People aren't even getting banned for supporting white replacement theory. Tucker still has a Twitter.
Yeah.
You're literally only getting bad if you're off the fucking walls with it. It's crazy.
And then it's like for 2 or 3 days, even though you said you want to, like, take trans people and throw them out of a helicopter. Like, Anyway, a side note on Blake Masters, though. In April, he had an interview where he blamed all black people for gun violence.
What? What?
Yeah. Little side note on Blake Masters. He blamed black people for gun violence. It's probably the classic take, like, well, crime happens in black neighborhoods, so
yeah,
just go over where the crime
it's got to be all of them. You know, if you look at an IQ map, I think you'll begin to understand.
Yeah.
Jesus fucking Christ, dog.
So that's the Arizona race. If any of you live in Arizona, I'm praying for you. Once August 2nd rolls around, make a good choice.
Make it, please. Please do.
Make a good choice. And then November, please make an even better choice.
Or if you listen to us, you're probably not a Republican. Chances are.
True.
I know we had that one neoliberal that was listening to us. I don't know if they're still here. Hope they are. Hope we've turned them a little more left. Maybe go vote for the worst candidate in the Republican primary to do a little spoiling, you know?
Oh, yeah, you could play spoiling.
Exactly. Go do a little spoiling.
Anyway, moving on to some January 6th updates.
Okay.
There's some interesting stuff that came out of this most recent hearing. There's actually 2 hearings that happened over this past week, one on Monday, one on Thursday. The first thing the committee did was just double down on the fact that Trump's aides and lawyers had already told him that he had lost. There's more videos of Bill Barr saying that it was Trump's big lie was bullshit.
Yeah.
There was Bill Stepien, a former Trump campaign manager, said that he was a part of, quote, Team Normal, and he was trying to convince Trump that the election was over and he lost fairly. More of that kind of thing. And apparently Trump, apparently to the people that were testifying, Trump was only listening to 3 people.
Nice.
Rudy Giuliani, Peter Navarro, and Sidney Powell. Release the Kraken, Sidney Powell.
Release the Kraken.
And a lot of people were also saying that Rudy Giuliani was just drunk the entire time. Because apparently the only kind of person that could have handled Trump in that state is a drunk person.
No, absolutely. I'd have to be as well.
Yeah. An interesting but predictable narrative that's kind of developed here is that Republicans are calling it a partisan witch hunt again. That's what they've kind of been doing over the past year. But a couple of points on that. One, they were offered half membership on the committee.
Yeah.
So like they could have been
lie, deny, you know?
2, there already are Republicans on the committee. And also, An interesting thing is that
but
like
they're Republicans in name only, of course.
rhinos,
Liz Cheney,
But an interesting thing is that like every single person, or just about every person that has testified so far, has been Trump's own officials just fucking selling them out.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not like they're getting a bunch of libs going up there.
Didn't his daughter testify? Didn't Ivanka say some shit?
Yeah. Get Don Jr. up there, honestly.
I don't know if you want to get Don Jr. up there. That dude's going crazy on the Twitter timeline recently.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all kind of context, right?
Okay.
Nothing too crazy there. But there is one shocking discovery that I think is worth mentioning, and that is Trump literally stealing from his supporters. So it was revealed that Trump raised $250 million off of the big lie from his supporters, with $150 million of that being raised in the first week.
That's crazy.
And
the first week after he lost, right?
The first week he started saying, big lie, that kind of thing.
Okay.
He said the money was going towards the legal battle, right?
Yeah.
He said it was going towards a legal fund. No legal fund was ever created.
That should be illegal.
Bro just fucking lied. From NPR, they said, quote, instead, the money went to the Save America Political Action Committee, and the money went from several pro-Trump organizations, which are headed by former officials close to Donald Trump's inner circle. So they were literally just paying their friends.
Dog, honestly, I feel like nobody who gave money to Trump even cares if he lied about it, if it didn't go to legal fund. These people are so fucking ridiculous. Yeah. My friend sent me a YouTube comment that he saw the other day about this one dude saying that it took them, Trump won so big that it took them 4 days to have to steal that election. Like, dog, you are lost in the sauce. You are so far gone. I need what you're smoking, dog. I need it.
Oh my God, they needed counting ballots doesn't take any time.
It didn't take 4 days to count hundreds of millions of ballots. It took 4 days to steal that election because it was such a landslide.
Well, it's like they saw it's funny because on election day in 2020, we had said that like it's gonna appear that Trump has a lead in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because he's probably going to get more of the in-person votes than Joe Biden will in most places. Literally, we said that for months. And then Trump just declares victory, and then the absentee ballots begin to be counted, and then they declare fraud. Like it's
exactly.
Goofy.
It's like, oh, really? You're just all of a sudden you get all these votes late at night. Yes, That's when they started counting.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Also, with like the fundraising thing, I remember we talked about a couple of months ago how Trump. On his campaign website, or whatever website they used to raise this money, they just had automatic donations enabled immediately in super small text that a lot of people just forgot to click off.
You had to manually click off whether you wanted to disable automatic renewals. So that's crazy. I love it when you just scam people.
They also had in like big red or yellow text or something like that. Like, if you deactivate your donations, you're giving up on Donald Trump and giving up on America. I love it.
These people, they're so fucking sad.
Yeah.
Like, they got scammed so hard.
Yeah. A funny little aside, though. You remember Kimberly Guilfoyle? She's Don Jr.'s girlfriend. She spoke at the Stop the Steal rally. She was the one that was like screaming at the RNC.
She's not. Oh, what a soldier, honestly.
I can't remember exactly what she said, but she was like screaming, "Make America Great Again" or something like that. Very weird.
Yeah.
She got $60,000 to speak for 2 minutes to introduce Donald Trump at the Stop the Steal rally, and that was from the $250 million that they raised.
That's crazy.
Fucking, they're just lining their own pockets.
I love it, bro. I especially love it because everyone was fucking talking about how noble Trump was for not taking the presidential salary, for donating it every year, the $400K every year, because he had enough money. He's noble. He didn't have to do that. That's something he wanted to do. Because he'll just steal from you directly. Instead of stealing from you from the tax money that's already allocated that, he'll just take it from your paycheck.
He'll just make up a fucking lie. Take all of your money from you, enable automatic monthly donations, and you won't know about it.
Yeah.
And then he'll use that money for purposes he didn't say. So you just have no idea where your money is going.
He'll use that money for things he explicitly told you he would not use that money for.
And the thing is, like, I don't even know that it's illegal what he did, because technically he wasn't saying that he was raising money for a political campaign. So campaign disclosure laws don't apply here. He said he was raising it for a legal fund. So maybe some other form of fraud could apply, but like campaign fraud can't work here because it wasn't for a campaign. So he might have just fucking got away with stealing from people.
Guys, I need you to donate some money to our very own legal fund so that we can go and fight this.
Like, I feel like nobody has as much contempt for Trump's base as he does.
Oh yeah,
because like he was siphoning money off of his supporters. He was lying to them about the election. He landed a bunch of them in jail for the attack on the Capitol, and he's fucking chilling in Florida.
Didn't we already know that Sidney Powell stole all that money?
Yeah.
Or no, I guess it wasn't like official yet when she was doing the release the Kraken stuff, but it was like, come on, we all kind of knew. Right, because she wasn't bringing anything to court.
Wasn't the thing that she was like, give us money and I'll release the Kraken or something?
Yeah,
like
no,
that?
it's like, we need to raise this much money so that I can release the Kraken and file all these lawsuits. She didn't do anything. She didn't file any lawsuits. She just fucking stopped. And then it's like, wasn't money going to Rudy Giuliani so he could fight it? And then he went to court and he said some shit like, well, he couldn't perjure himself. So he just went up there and didn't say anything.
And then the FBI fucking raided his house. These people just keep taking L after L after L.
Oh my God, I know. And then he had that picture where he's just sweating and like his hair dye was falling out.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then the committee went on to talk about some shit about Mike Pence and how he's a hero of democracy that I don't really care about.
Oh yeah, what a soldier.
But the thing that I don't know if this came out during the actual committee hearings, but some information dropped about this dude named Representative Loudermilk.
Oh.
Quite the last name.
I was about to say.
Some fucking dude in the House. But apparently, there's like footage of him giving tours of the Capitol to several people on January 5th. And this happened at a time where no tours were happening because of COVID restrictions.
Wasn't that also like, didn't Beobert also give a tour the day before?
I don't know if that's been confirmed, but we know at least that this dude did. And apparently he was going around not showing them like historical locations, like the roof of the Capitol or anything crazy like that. He was literally touring points of entry with these people.
Hey, yo, come on now.
And even more revealing is like he was the one that gave the tour. It wasn't an intern. It wasn't an aide. It wasn't, any other person that worked for him. It was him, which is not usual for
what
tours.
a witch hunt, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, this
such
is just
a witch hunt. Oh, my goodness.
And apparently, of course, the logical conclusion is what you could probably predict.
Yeah.
Some of these people ended up showing up at the insurrection.
Oh, my God. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought?
I love that we can just have people in actual positions of power that are openly undermining democracy. I love it.
So
I love
cool,
it.
bro. I love the state of this country. This is such a good country.
And like the committee is focusing a lot on like Donald Trump and how he was complicit in January 6th and how his supporters were complicit and that kind of thing. But I honestly think at this point they need to just like, I know it's going to be viewed as partisan. It already is. But they need to just say like, everybody in the Republican Party that supported this should be disqualified from running for election.
No,
like you can't have a democracy where people are openly undermining that democracy. It can't survive.
Like something for these hearings to mean anything. Something materially needs to come from them by the end of it. Like we've got a lot of information, a lot of pretty damning information, like more than I thought that they would bring. But if nothing happens to it, it's like, come on, this was just a waste of time. Like, wasn't Peter Navarro indicted like a week ago?
I think so.
For like fraud or some shit like that. Peter Navarro's been indicted, so that's cool, I guess. But like, what are you really gonna do?
Yeah, and I feel like the crime can't just be the insurrection itself, although that's certainly a crime. But it also has to be just like continuously fucking lying about the election, because a democracy, no matter how strong your democratic system is, no matter how great America is, a democracy can't survive people just openly trying to undermine it in position.
Oh yeah, if you don't believe in it, then it doesn't work.
Right.
And they're successfully getting tens of millions of people to not believe in it. It's ridiculous.
Like you can't have a political system survive people that are in power undermining that political system. It doesn't, like you can't do that. These people have to be prevented from winning office.
Yeah.
And that's not even like authoritarian to say. Like that is protecting democracy. Like if you're not willing to go to whatever length to protect democracy, then we're not going to have it.
Yeah.
Not that we necessarily do right now.
If you're going to lie about fixing the lunches when you're just a simple elementary schooler and you have no real power, then you shouldn't be able to run. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. Well, we don't have a democracy. It's a constitutional republic.
You're right. Let's cut the segment.
Fuck. Our last news story, though. Bernie Sanders,
Backcar Roots debate coverage.
Lindsey Graham debate coverage. So last week, the Senate Project, which is some bipartisan organization, they made some content just for us.
Yes, they did.
Decided we are going to make some content that Head in the Office can cover. True. And that's canon. They hosted a debate between Bernie and Lindsey Graham, obviously two senators, which is kind of crazy. Like two elected officials that aren't running in an election against each other are debating. That's wild.
That is wild. I feel like I have not seen that. You know what I mean? But it's also like, the mix here is crazy.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders and Lindsey Graham.
Yeah.
Who thought of that?
I don't know. I wonder if they were just like reaching out to people and they're the first two that agreed to it. But yeah, crazy. I'm obviously most interested in like the narratives that Lindsey Graham's going to try to spin. We obviously are going to agree with Bernie on most of the stuff he's saying.
Of course.
But this group was actually the debate was actually hosted by Fox Nation, which I thought was interesting. It was Brett Baer moderating the debate. And their goal was to, quote, reignite bipartisanship and collaboration in the Senate.
Which is weird for like Fox to like take that position and sponsor it. I wonder if they foresee a change in the party or something. Maybe they know something about these hearings that's going to come out soon, and they're trying to like course correct a little bit. Or maybe it's just daytime Fox News, which isn't as insane as prime time.
It's also, isn't Brett Baer like the big bipartisan work together centrist guy? Like he gets a hard on to Joe Manchin.
He's definitely like center right.
Yeah.
He did that Joe Manchin interview from like December that went crazy, that popped off.
Yeah. So the debate, it wasn't that structured. It was kind of just them arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fine, but Bernie starts off, does his thing, gives his opening debate, gives his opening speech, and Lindsey Graham cues us in on what his narrative is going to be really the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
His main talking point, which is that Democrats are in power, they could just do it. As if the Senate doesn't require 60 votes to function.
It's like my brother in Christ, that is not how that works. That is not how that works at all.
Yeah. Lindsey Graham, of course, goes into, immigration being a crisis, crime being rampant, defund the police, destroying the entire world, really just fucking lying.
Yeah.
He said, at one point, vote Republican to stop packing the Supreme Court.
That was the craziest thing to me, because right after he said that, he said, quote, "We've worked hard to build a conservative majority. Don't let them make it liberal again." I feel like I haven't seen a senator give away the game like that, at all, like recently.
Yeah.
That's what, and nobody's talking about that. Everybody knows that SCOTUS is a political body, of course.
Yeah.
But the Democrats like to pretend that it isn't. So it was just crazy seeing an elected official actually say what everybody's thinking.
Yeah, no, and a lot of Lindsey Graham's arguments just don't fucking exist in reality. Like he was saying things like the police have been defund the police has wreaked havoc on this nation, crime is like up super high, like the Supreme Court's being like none of these things are happening, you know what I mean? Like crime has increased in certain areas, but this fear-mongering about crime just doesn't map on. It's just fucking wild. Anyway, Lindsey Graham moves on. He tells people stop calling for he tells Bernie to tell his people to stop calling for the defunding of the police. He said, and then he going on to talk about gas. He said, your party's policies have raised gas prices in this country.
Bro talks about gas prices any chance he fucking gets. And he always goes to policy matters, Bernie. Yeah, of fucking course it does, Lindsey.
Right.
They haven't passed any policies. That's part of the issue. Because of you, they can't pass any policies.
That's what I'm saying. Is he kept saying over and over, like, bring it to the floor.
Yeah,
bring it
Medicare
to the floor
for
of the
all.
Senate.
Specifically, Bernie was on his spiel about Medicare for all. Very on message, very on brand, as you all should be well aware of by now. And Lindsey Graham's like, okay, so if the American people really want Medicare for all, we should bring it to a vote tomorrow.
Yeah.
I am calling on Chuck Schumer to bring Medicare for all to a vote tomorrow. And if the American people want it, and the senators don't vote for it, then they should lose their jobs. That's how it works.
Yeah.
That is not how it works. That is routinely not how it works, Lindsey.
It's like, dog, if that's how it works, then you need to explain why there is no state in this country with more than 30% support for overturning Roe v. Wade, yet laws that restrict abortion are passing in tons and tons of states.
Crazy.
Like, if that's how it works, then why are our political systems not functioning?
It's
like
ridiculous.
This entire guy, like this entire time, this dude has just an idea of the Senate in his mind that apparently is functioning
it's
that
the
does
most
not exist.
Hyper-idealized version of the Senate in his mind. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And this is where the debate started to piss me off, because I was expecting Bernie to just like hammer that point in, like, oh, that's how the Senate is supposed to work, but in reality, clearly it doesn't work that way.
Right.
You can look at all this polling, but he didn't.
Yeah.
And I was kind of I was a little disappointed with Bernie's performance.
Yeah.
He felt like a little bit of a talking point machine, and like he wasn't really engaging with a lot of what Lindsey had to say.
I think Bernie Sanders had like a couple of bullet points in his head he knew he wanted to stick to.
Yeah.
And he kind of just kept getting back on track every time
I
Lindsey
think
Graham
it
tried to
hurt
derail
him.
stuff.
I think it hurt him because the big thing that was happening was gas.
Yeah.
Anytime Lindsey couldn't answer a question about like Medicare for all or any of the good policies, he would either go to immigration, gas, or policy matters.
Or bring it to a vote.
Bring it to a vote. We'll bring it to a vote and find out, because the Senate works. And with the gas thing, that's the one he was hammering home most. Specifically, this one instance really pissed me off because he was talking about how, okay, you want to tax the massive profits that corporations have seen right now. Oh, because Bernie said the last time that oil was at $118 a barrel, which it is right now, gas prices were like $3.27 across the board. Not the exact number, but it was somewhere in the $3 range, right? A reasonable price. And so we need to tax these profits. That's evidence of just crazy corporate greed.
Yeah.
And Lindsey said, okay, if you want to tax their profits, then why don't we give them subsidies back in 2020 when gas was only $1.78? Bernie should have stepped in right there and talked about how the people who are supplying the gas stations that are setting these prices aren't the ones that are losing the money based on the price of a barrel. It's the suppliers that were losing their money because of the Saudi and Russian price war with the oil barrels. Like, you need to talk about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he didn't push back on that point, which I was kind of disappointed with.
And it's like, even then, even when gas was like below $2 back when the pandemic first started, it's like gas companies were still making so much fucking money. And they also got like, we passed like $10 billion in bailouts for them. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? We don't subsidize gas companies.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. Like,
he's like, why do you give subsidies when they're losing money? Because they're not losing money. It's the suppliers that are losing money.
Lindsey Graham said, like, as soon as Biden came into office, gas was back at $2.38. And it's like, yeah, dog, the pandemic was receding. Like, this dude has no brain cells. It's just lead in his brain.
But that's where it gets so frustrating because he has no brain cells. And the people that listen to him have no fucking brain cells. Because one big message that Lindsey Graham hit was, he like looked at the camera, he did the politician thing, and he said, is your life really better now than it was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously, you're going to say no. You know, we're recovering from a fucking recession. And the people who vote for you, Lindsey Graham, were doing fine the whole time.
Yeah.
Except for gas prices. Like, they never really had to worry about the lockdown because they fucking ignored it and made it worse for the rest of us.
Yeah, and a point that I wish Bernie would have hit on sooner, which he does eventually hit on, but I wish he would have said, like, all right, then explain why inflation is a global trend right now, and it's not as bad in America as it is other places. Like, gas is higher in other countries than it is in the United States.
Yes.
You need to explain why that is the case if, you know, it's all Joe Biden's fault. And, like, why is it a global trend if it's all Joe Biden's fault? And, like, of course he doesn't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
He didn't have an answer for that. He just deflects back to, like, well, we'll just bring it to a floor for a vote. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. But, like, that's, yeah.
And then he would hit on, a big point he hit on was also like, oh, well, you stopped leasing of federal lands for oil companies. They still have, you could have said, but they still have all these unused acres that they're just sitting on waiting. Because they buy them up all in advance. Like, why aren't we hitting on these points? Come on.
Yeah. And also, there's more fracking happening right now than under Donald Trump. Like, fracking has not ended. Joe Biden has not made. All he said is no new fracking permits. But that doesn't mean fracking is entirely done right now.
And it's like, fuck, dude. Lindsey also started talking about, he's like, well, we're going to be electric by like 2030, 2040 when it comes to cars. So for now, why are you suffocating Americans with high gas prices, limiting all this? First off, we're not really limiting like oil production here in the United States. Fracking is a very bad thing that has immediate negative consequences on communities surrounding the areas you're fracking in. It is just strictly bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? No effort right now could turn around quick enough to get any meaningful change for the price of oil unless you pass legislation like the price gouging at the pump bill. You know what I mean? And it's just like, fuck, come on, guy.
Yeah,
come on, Bernie, hit on this.
Bernie also didn't bring up the votes on the price gouging bill or the votes on the baby formula bill.
He didn't bring it up at all. He didn't, because you could have said that. Lindsey, you voted no to bring down the price at the pump. Like, come on, like, debate, you know?
Yeah.
Put me in there.
Put me in there.
Watch me bully him.
Lindsey Graham kept, like, routinely defending oil billionaires, like the big oil companies, saying, like, well, they want to increase how much they're fracking. They want to increase domestic oil production, but Joe Biden just won't let them. And it's like, oil executives have literally been on shows like Fox News and other news outlets saying that they are not going to increase gas production.
Yeah.
They've literally said that.
They're just choosing. They're choosing not to.
It's like, how can you justify a system where oil billionaires, oil companies are making billions of dollars in profit, and they are also increasing their gas prices?
Exactly. Like, what we need to look at this from the angle of these executives have a financial incentive to strangle you at the pump. They have an incentive to do that. It is in their best interest to do that because gas is basically inelastic.
Yeah, you need it.
It's crazy.
You need it. Everybody in the country relies on using their car, filling up their car.
And it's like, just to get into like our analysis of the situation, when Lindsey's saying something like, well, why don't you subsidize them when the price is low? You know what? Why don't we fucking nationalize it then? Why don't we just have one brand of gas station that's a government gas station and they guarantee a specific price of oil that's paid for by other taxes? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I have 2 points here about, or two things I hate about like American culture or American, how we understand political discourse. The first thing is that like I understand the desire to blame Joe Biden, blame the party in power for everything that's happening. And we certainly do blame Democrats for a lot of this stuff. But why are we not blaming the people, the oil billionaires, that have a direct hand on how these resources are distributed? Like, they are also the people in power. Like, for some reason, we have this idea that the free market is completely infallible, and everything that happens as a result of the market is not a result of people making decisions, but as a result of just the invisible hand.
No, literally.
When people that are running oil companies have a decision that they can make when it comes to giving people access to these resources. It is a choice that they are making. It is not the free market determining whatever the price is. It's not the free market determining how they have to act. It is them choosing, and I don't understand why they don't get fucking criticism.
The invisible hand doesn't fucking exist. The thing that we describe as the invisible hand, by using the invisible hand as like a tool to describe how markets move, you are taking away responsibility from the people at the top who are actually making these decisions that are hurting you. The people who are actually price gouging, you're obfuscating their role in all of these various market things, the market manipulation they do, any decision they make. That is the result of individual decisions being made at the top. It's ridiculous. And back to my point about when Lindsey was talking about the we'll be electric by 2030, 2040 anyway, so why can't we just drill more oil and use gas now? Bernie, you gotta hit him with the but you routinely vote down bills that would that would provide the infrastructure to have that electric vehicle change. You routinely are against building infrastructure and subsidizing renewable energy industries. And you are for furthering the infrastructure that continues to drill oil and do all that. Like, come on.
It's like the entirety of Lindsey Graham's party is bought by big oil.
Exactly.
Like you gotta, like all of this entire discussion around gas is just mired in the context that we have made no real progress towards renewable energies. Or like available public transit, which would also cut down on emissions and our fuel use and our reliance on oil overseas. Crazy. But another thing I hate about just how we understand political discourse is how simplistic it is in the minds of, I don't know if it's in the mind of all voters, but at least in the minds of politicians, that it's like, anytime you're not in power, blame literally everything on the opposing party, and that's it. Like, there's no other systemic critique. There's no other understanding of how our political systems work. It's just the Democrats are bad, and every bad thing that's happening is because of them. And I make this point because our entire system is set up to reward obstructionism. Like, how can you justify to your voters getting elected, or how can you justify to your voters getting your party in the majority if the country is doing well when the other party is in the majority? They have no incentive to actually collaborate. They have no incentive to work together. And the Republican Party utilizes this so well because they have no fucking soul. The Democratic Party at least has some amount of conscience and feels a need to work with Republicans when things are in their favor. Because they feel like they got to get some stuff done. But the Republican Party can do this thing where they obstruct literally everything Joe Biden's trying to do. Blame every problem on Joe Biden, even though they are preventing the solution from happening.
And because they're the ones who routinely say that government doesn't work, you can't trust your elected officials, they dominate that rhetoric, even though it's true, but from our perspective, it's true, not theirs. They dominate that rhetoric to get people to vote them into power. The politicians that don't fucking work. Like, come on, make it make sense.
They literally create problems. They say Joe Biden created the problem, and then they claim themselves to be the solution. They just make problems and then fucking lie. And then once they get into power, it's not like they do anything. And of course, Democrats do this as well. You know, Democrats will also just blame everything on the Republican Party rather than taking action to do it themselves. But at least when they are in power, or even when they're out of power, they're willing to attempt to do things that will actually help people. Like, it's not as if their policy platform is changing wildly when they're out of power. When Republicans are out of power, it's obstruct. They have no other agenda other than obstruct.
Even if it's a thing that they would have passed, it is obstruct. It's get this, because I'm pretty sure there are quotes from Mitch McConnell saying explicitly that you don't want good things to pass under the opposition. Like, they are playing a game with your life. Like, come on now.
Like, think about, like, we've mentioned a couple of times how under Donald Trump we had the what was it? The stimulus checks.
Yes.
We had the unemployment benefits that passed. We had a bunch of other good stuff that really helped people during the pandemic, really helped people, like the eviction moratorium, that kind of thing. Like a lot of good measures that helped people. Yeah. But now if we tried to do that, if the pandemic flared up again, they wouldn't do it. Because they wouldn't get the political points for it.
We don't even need to look at now if they would do it. They didn't want to pass the American Rescue Plan. They did not want to pass the third round of stimulus, the other extensions of
that only happened because of budget reconciliation.
Strictly because Joe Biden was president.
And then you had Republican senators on Twitter or in their press conferences claiming victory, saying like, you're going to get a stimulus check soon. You can thank the Senate for that, even though they literally voted against it. Crazy. It's awful. It's absolutely terrible.
To be fair to Bernie here, he's fighting an uphill battle. We're fighting anyone on the left, any progressive is fighting an uphill battle when it comes to messaging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can be on equal footing, like you can have an equal rhetorical ability and you will still lose because it's so easy to resort to bigotry. It's so easy to just stick with the status quo. You know what I mean? You have to actively be better at rhetoric than they are if you want to be able to walk away from these things. You need to be a talking point machine. You need to have these statistics and these things memorized if you want to be able to hold your own in a debate because it's just default easier for them to convince people of anything.
Well, yeah, it's always harder to critique an existing system than it is to defend it. And that is always the role, is defending it, or the simple message of like, look how bad your life is. And then the subtext, of course, is like, because we refuse to pass anything in our chambers. Like, because that's what it is. Like, if Joe Biden's agenda, if more of Joe Biden's agenda could have passed, like the Build Back Better plan, things would be a lot better right now. But it didn't because of the Republican Party, and now they can complain about it being bad.
Speaking of the Build Back Better plan, Lindsey Graham specifically mentioned, I'm pretty sure it was Lindsey Graham in this debate, specifically mentioned, or maybe it was a TikTok I saw earlier. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Lindsey Graham specifically mentioned how the child poverty rate was 40% reduced under Trump.
Yeah.
Like, that's because of the child tax credit, dog, that you voted down. Like, you're leaving out a crucial bit of context here when you display this statistic. Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Didn't the child tax credit, it started as a part of one of the first pandemic stimulus packages, right? Yeah. And then it was extended the first time by Joe Biden through 2021, and now it's completely gone because the Republican Party hates families and children and want them to be in poverty.
But then he uses that as a political point against Joe Biden. When it's him that did it, he did that. Like, fucking eviscerate him for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Anyway, after their first bit of discussion, after like the first 35 minutes or so, they transitioned to the seated, moderated discussion.
Yes.
Where the goal, Brett Baer says, is to find some common ground. They want to find something that they can both agree on.
Yes.
Of course, they talk about Ukraine a little bit, and they both say that they agree Putin is bad.
Yes.
So we got that.
Yes.
We got that completely out of the way. And Bernie, like I mentioned earlier, makes the point that inflation is worldwide, that Lindsey Graham complaining about this is just a bunch of nonsense. And I want to comment, like, this idea, like this American-centric idea that anything bad that is happening is because of a policy decision that we made is really fucking goofy.
Yeah.
And it's like, America does have a lot of power. We have a lot of political ability to do something about the problems that we're facing. But to act as though the American president is in charge of every single global trend is so fucking dumb. And it is something that Republicans love to weaponize against their voter base because, again, Republicans think their voter base is fucking stupid.
And they love to act like we can also fix any problem around the globe, even though when we try to, historically, we have failed miserably. Shout out Afghanistan. But, like, specifically with that, I'm pretty sure Lindsey Graham said in this section, well, why don't we start producing the oil and shipping it off to Europe? So they don't have to rely on Russian oil. Why don't, instead of building new infrastructure to do that, we build new infrastructure to become a leader in renewable energy?
And it would be fucking cheaper in the long run, dog.
Why don't we do that? That'd be better for everyone, forever.
And my point on fracking that I was thinking of this entire time is like Gage said before, fracking is fucking horrible for the earth. Immediate negative consequences for the people around it and long-term negative consequences for everybody on the fucking planet. It is objectively bad for the earth. Why would we not want to take the time now to end fracking, invest in renewables, even if it cuts into profits, even if it makes things less efficient in, like, you know, the interim, 20, 30, next 20, 30 years or so?
Yeah.
It's the planet, dog. Like, it's It's human life on Earth. You know what I mean?
It's your grandchildren. Like, come on now. Come on.
But another point on, the American-centric idea that Joe Biden can literally solve everything. A lot of the inflation we saw during 2021 was because of supply chain crises. Because, there was that one time when the Suez Canal got blocked for like 2 weeks because of that big ass shit.
That shit, didn't it cost like $4 billion every minute or some crazy thing like that?
Like, there were a lot of supply chain issues that were happening as Joe Biden came into office throughout his first year. And a lot of it just wasn't up to him. Like, we don't run supply chains, Like, generally, geographically at least, America is fairly separated from the rest of the world when it comes to supply chain stuff over in, like, Europe and Asia. We can't do much about that.
Yeah.
And blaming the American president for that is really fucking dumb. And I would say that if people were blaming Trump for it, too.
And it's wild because, like, the largest bit of discourse you ever heard about supply chain disruptions is when Pete Buttigieg went on paternity leave.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, that was the big American thing.
As if
it's a joke.
As if, like, his deputy transportation secretary didn't just fucking fill in while he was on paternity leave.
As if his whole entire staff, all of the people under him, didn't just continue as usual while he took 2 weeks to be with his kid. Like, crazy.
That was a little bit of homophobia, just a little bit.
Oh, of course, of course.
Of course, then Lindsey Graham gets into his whole spiel on how gas companies are not responsible for literally any of it, which, again, absolutely bizarre. I wish people would use a little bit of critical thinking.
He said some shit about, like, being a capitalist, and it's, like, market forces that are doing all this, as if nobody makes decisions behind these market forces. Market forces exist outside of fucking people.
Yeah, and Bernie actually had a really good part where he started going off about how Lindsey Graham just calls everything socialism. He was saying, like, is giving people access to healthcare socialism, is ensuring that everyone housed is socialism, and he literally didn't have a response to any of that.
Oh no,
like you can't, like, because it's not socialism to just want people to be able to afford stuff in a capitalist economy.
I'm pretty sure he said some shit about, like, immigration. He kept retreating to immigration, and it was like the stupidest fucking talking point that he could throw up there. But I'm sad to say that it, like, sadly works for the base that he's going for, because, like, what he said with regards to immigration isn't factually untrue. He said, like, immigration numbers were lower under Trump. And it's like,
because Trump fucking brutalized people at the border.
Literally, it's like that, but his base doesn't fucking care. They believe that that's justified.
Right.
Especially when Lindsey Graham followed, like, every other time he brought up immigration. What if a terrorist slipped through, huh? Yeah. What if you let a terrorist slip? Like, dog, come on now. Come on.
And then Brett Baier, he asked probably the stupidest question of all time to Bernie. It just, like, framed horribly. And this is where his Fox Nation chop started to show through. He said, quote, is the high price of gas necessary for the transition to clean energy? What kind of fucking framing is that, dog?
No, literally.
Like, that is literally, like how do you, that's so stupid.
So many premises here are just assumed. Like, okay, the high price of gas right now only exists because of the war in Ukraine and the supply chain crisis. If it was just a regular fucking year, if COVID didn't happen, if Russia wasn't dumb, then the prices would be the same. They would be normal, and we would still be having these clean energy conversations.
It's so dumb. Yeah, like, the framing here is really stupid because it's like it presupposes that the price of gas just has to be high and people just have to suffer in order for us to transition to renewables. But if the Republican Party would have allowed us to pass legislation that transitioned us to renewables, we wouldn't be in this position in the first place.
Crazy.
And if gas and oil billionaires weren't literally just ripping consumers off of the gas pump every single day, then again, we would not be here.
Lindsey literally said some shit like, I believe in climate change. I just don't believe we need to speed up the process to fight it. Ridiculous.
Like, Americans generally understand that their elected leaders are to blame because they have power when it comes to whatever policy, right? Whatever policy is bad, whatever way people are suffering, you can blame your political leaders. And that makes sense. And I agree. You should blame them. You should get on them as much as possible. But I can't fathom why most people are not willing to blame the people that literally hold all of the resources you need to survive. Like, do you not recognize that they also have immense power and we just call it the private sector?
No, literally, do you not realize that they buy the fucking politicians? Like, we need to start holding these fucking huge CEOs just as accountable.
Yeah.
We need to hold lobbying firms just as accountable. That shit should be fully transparent. If you can buy a senator, those donations should be transparent. Like, I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, power is power, whether it be economic or political. It has the ability to control your life. And if you are not willing to critique both of those at the same time, then you don't actually give a shit about people being free.
Facts.
You just want to win political points.
Facts.
Anyway, Bernie gets into the GOP being anti-democratic, and I, quite honestly, in my opinion, as a democracy enjoyer,
wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think that's probably the best point you can bring up against conservatives right now. Facts. Is just them being openly anti-democratic.
Yeah.
Small d democratic, of course.
Yeah, naturally.
For people that misunderstand us all the time. And then Lindsey Graham gets into saying, he said something along the lines of like, he's talking about Trump because he can't talk about anybody else.
Yeah.
That is the first time Trump was brought up in the entire debate.
He was actually talking about a lot of other things. He had talked about Medicare for all many times. He had talked about prescription drug prices many times.
Yeah. He gets into Lindsey Graham said something along the lines of like, Donald Trump was the first president in my lifetime that ever took on China.
Yep.
And I gotta believe that that's a dog whistle, right?
100%.
Like that's gotta be an anti-Asian dog whistle.
That's gotta be a lie as well.
Well, yeah, and it's like, because Donald Trump was just like friends with President Xi. Like nothing really. We had like the trade war with China, but that was mostly
tariffs
bad
on China and shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like we've done that before. We've sanctioned China before.
Yeah, and he also, like, Lindsey Graham throughout this entire debate was saying shit along the lines of like, more government intervention is bad, regulation bad, like the whole Ronald Reagan shtick. You know what I mean?
It's like also China is still a developing nation.
Yeah.
Bro's like 66 years old or some shit like that. Of course nobody was worried about China when you were younger. Like, there was the Cold War, Lindsey.
Yeah. At one point, Lindsey Graham also admitted to not having a wife and kids.
Oh yeah, he said now I don't have a wife and kids, and I know I'm part of the problem because we need more kids. Fuck.
That makes so much sense, dog.
He's an incel.
Like
He's an incel.
That makes so much sense that he doesn't have a wife and
Lindsey
kids.
Graham's probably a virgin.
Like, I'm surprised Ted Cruz has a wife. You know what I mean? But it makes so much sense that Lindsey Graham is just alone. Like, his entire personality is senator. Like, he's literally Homelander from The Boys. Like, his entire personality revolves around him having power, and that's it.
Lindsey Graham, just in general, is such a sad individual. He's such a fucking weasel. He was going so hard for Trump until wasn't he like crying when he certified the election results?
Was he? No way, right?
No, he wasn't like crying, but it looked like he was gonna fucking bust into tears, like watching some of his interviews on like Fox News talking about the election. Like, he's such a weasel. He's such a weasel. I hate him.
Yeah. And then we're getting towards the end of the debate here. Lindsey Graham, after he says that he's alone, has no wife and kids, and it's really sad, he gets into how, like, we need to get Republicans and Democrats together to find a plan.
Yeah.
We need to get them in the same room figuring stuff out, because I love bipartisanship. And I love how he can appeal to bipartisanship, right? Appeal to collaboration, appeal to finding answers in the middle, while doing absolutely nothing to foster bipartisanship. While he's saying like Democrats are grooming kids.
No, and
you know what I mean?
Every single time he started talking about policies, he would talk about the Democratic Party in big swaths, and then follow it with socialist policies don't work. Like, you're just engaging with this in bad faith. Right. You think Nancy Pelosi is a fucking socialist? Come on, big dog.
Like, you fundamentally in a democracy cannot find equal footing. You cannot find bipartisanship with people that are like bought and owned by the wealthy. Yeah. Like, there is no bipartisanship to be had because their interests are just not aligned with the people that elected them into office. There's nothing you can do to find bipartisanship there. And these types always appeal to, I mean, it's the same thing with like Joe Manchin. Like, he's always appealing to bipartisanship. It's like, how am I supposed to find equal footing with someone whose interests are not aligned with their voter base?
It's like bipartisanship is the biggest fucking lie that anyone has ever been sold when it comes to government.
Well, yeah, for the simple reason that, like, anytime Republicans get power, they make your life fucking worse. That's it. Or like, even when they're in the minority, they get everything they want. They just make your life
it's
worse.
Just the fact that, this is good because it's bipartisan.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. The crime bill, very bipartisan. Passed 98 to 2. The Patriot Act, incredibly bipartisan. Bipartisanship is oftentimes not good.
I love that. They got into a little bit of Social Security reform. Apparently, that's a thing that the Budget Committee in the Senate has been working on.
Yeah.
Bernie, simple point, saying if you're making millions, you should pay more into Social Security because right now the program is going to go under in a couple of decades. So we got to start charging people more somewhere and redistributing how the benefits work. And Bernie just says, people making millions, billions of dollars should be paying more than those making, $60,000 a year.
Facts.
And Lindsey Graham says, all right, let's have a vote on it. And it's like, dog, like, you can't, anytime you don't have an answer, you can't just back up and say, like, well, it's not going to pass in the Senate. Like, we fucking know the Senate can't do anything.
We're talking about ideas here, Lindsey.
It's like half the country doesn't believe in climate change. Like, I don't care. I don't care that you're going to make an appeal to this actually passing in the Senate. Anyway, the moderator asks one of his last questions. He says, "Is there any issue you can see eye to eye on?"
Oh.
And Lindsey Graham, again, tries to cosplay some bipartisanship, cosplay like caring about finding solutions, saying that, he's for entitlement reform, he's for Social Security reform, which is literally just code for taking benefits away from people.
Oh, facts.
Like, that's literally all that is. And then, of course, get back into Medicare for all. Lindsey Graham saying, "I'm not going to take away your private health insurance," which we've talked about this before.
That was a huge talking point. Lindsey Graham he wants to take 250 million Americans' private health insurance away. Private health insurance bad.
I hate
Very
this
bad.
framing, though.
Oh,
I really fucking hate it because it's like you're removing private insurance that intentionally bankrupts people all the time and giving people something else.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just taking their health care away.
You're giving people something else that is way more efficient because they do not have to spend money on advertising. They do not have to spend money on crazy executive and administrative overhead. They don't have to do any of that. They can just focus on, giving you healthcare.
Being a public service.
Giving you healthcare. And the fucking wait time argument is also predicated on a lot of the supply and demand argument in general with healthcare is predicated on the fact that you should not be able to get healthcare if you can't afford it. Sorry. Just eat shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
We already pay into the system. We already pay into a pool, an insurance pool. You're just paying more to go into a private insurance pool than you would through taxes for a public insurance pool. Crazy.
And it's like we already recognize that some things in our economy shouldn't be left up to market forces. Like we build roads, for example. We don't just leave corporations to do that. Yeah. We have a postal service because if we just left corporations to do that, they wouldn't be building roads or delivering mail in a sufficient degree to areas that wouldn't produce them enough profit. We have decided that some things should be provided by the government or by a pool of our collective tax dollars. There's no reason Medicare shouldn't also be included in that.
Facts.
Because people need access to it.
A human right.
Yeah. You
Crazy
need access
thought.
to it.
Crazy
You kind of need it. And the framing that you're just going to remove private healthcare and take it away from people is really fucking stupid. You really should not believe that. Also, Medicare for all is literally cheaper than private healthcare. Just saying.
Big facts.
Just saying.
Big facts.
Anyway, getting to the end of the debate here, Lindsey Graham claims that Bernie's plans have no bipartisan support. Yet they're still popular with the American people. Wonder why that is. Wonder if our political systems don't work.
I wonder if what Lindsey said about they should be fired for not, succumbing to the will of the American people is true. They should be fucking fired and they should be kicked off.
Word?
Word, Lindsey?
Anyways, that brings us to the end of this section, I think. Fuck bipartisanship. You can't be bipartisan when the other side is actually evil.
Big facts. Big facts.
That's all we got to say on that, to be honest. And that brings us to the end of our episode today.
That's true. Before we go, I just want to highlight something I read. I read on I think it was Twitter, but it was a quote from Justice Sotomayor.
Okay.
The most progressive justice on the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah.
About Clarence Thomas. You want to know what she had to say about Clarence Thomas? Just quick SCOTUS update, because we can't go a week without mentioning them. They're awful. What do you think that she would have had to say about Clarence Thomas? In lieu of these new decisions, in lieu of everything that's happened with the Supreme Court.
Clarence Thomas is undermining our very important civil rights, and we need to prevent the Supreme Court from taking away the freedoms of the people.
It's really funny that you say that, because it was the exact fucking opposite thing.
Of course it was.
She described Clarence Thomas as a man who deeply respects the court as an institution. And I just felt like I needed to bring that all to you all, because it's insane. Even the most progressive member of the Supreme Court, the best one, is still lost in the fucking sauce.
Dog, why do we care about institutions if they're fucking hurting people?
Literally.
That's all it is.
They're fake. We made them up. We can change them.
God's natural law. In other news, Don Jr. on Twitter. Don Jr. on Twitter, he tweeted something along the lines of, "Imagine what Amber Heard would have done with red flag laws."
That is exactly what he tweeted. What the fuck does that mean, dog? I got in the replies with exactly that. Donald, what could this possibly mean?
Yeah.
He was on coke when he tweeted that. He had to have been. I saw somebody describe him as, him and Hunter Biden are the same. I would have to agree. It's ridiculous. Just the shit that they tweet. His what if Amber Heard had gun laws? He tweeted an infographic that we retweeted. Check out the Head in the Office Twitter to find that out. We quote tweeted it, right? Saying that leftists control the police. That was insane. that had me just fucking rolling on the floor, dog.
called police.
I was convulsing. I couldn't handle that one. That one was just wild to me. Diabolical, in fact.
I think the theme of this episode is that Republicans or anyone on the right literally does not live in the same reality that we do.
Oh, literally.
Like, they do not inhabit the same realm.
It's really the multiverse of madness, honestly. Yeah. There's he pulled up to a campaigning event in, like, North Dakota for this one chick. In the fucking NATO 11s, some, like, camo Crocs or whatever the fuck they wear. They look like clogs with fucking suit pants, like a regular, like, work shirt. And then you would think he had, like, a sport coat over his collared shirt, right? He didn't even have, like, a regular fucking sport coat. It was, like, a weird work one that was, like, frayed at the edges and was all linty. You are a fucking billionaire son, dog.
It looked like suede combined with denim.
Yeah, like bro's fit is crazy. Like, who let him go to a campaign event dressed like that?
That's what I'm saying.
What the fuck, dude?
Like, him and Hunter Biden are the same person. Like, all the hate Hunter Biden gets, Hunter Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden, like, you know, hooking up with escorts or
Hunter Biden got so high he tried to smoke Parmesan cheese. This dude, he's the same.
Right?
He's literally the same. It's ridiculous.
He's literally the same person. Oh my God. Like, you know all those memes about how our culture is just, like, repeating itself. We're dropping the same movies, same games over and over again. It's like that, but for, like, political figures now. Hunter Biden and Don Jr. are, like, they're foils of each other. It's like we're in a movie.
Oh my God, literally. It's like Batman and the Joker. Except they're both bad.
Love it. Love it.
You love to see it. But you know what else we love?
Our patrons. Our
all,
loyal
like,
supporters.
48 or 49 of them.
Our loyal supporters on Patreon. We got to shout them out. If you want to be amongst this list,
this elite group of people,
check out the link in the bio. If you liked our content, you can get it early. We're dropping this one on Saturday. It's actually an early drop.
Early. This motherfucker thinks he's Christopher Columbus going to explore some fucking campground.
Northern Michigan. Hopefully, no major news drops within the next week.
Hopefully no major news drops on Sunday.
It's like, oh my God, Third Amendment's overturned. You're having soldiers in your house now. Anyways, let's give a special thanks to Cricket Scrapbook Layouts, Nikki Nine Lives, Caden Kraut, Lord T, Chris the Postman, Christy Beck, Talia Katz, 40% Spite, Andrew Harris, Mike Chaplinsky, Mattias T, John G, The B-Plot, Omar Zuno, Clayton Lafort, Ash Fairblood, Mark Yeager, Sarah McRoberts, Derek Messina, Dylan B, Satan's Menstrual Cycle, The Mind Sculptors, Kaz, Caleb Joy, Jim Bobs, Carl D, Rich Toro, Tari, Gavin Meyer, Maldonado, Hunter W, Fergalaki, Max Vasquez, Jacob Rogers, Colton Mooberry, Grayton Peltier, and my mom. Thank you all for supporting the show on Patreon. If this list keeps growing,
please, we're begging you, make this list unreadable.
That's what I was going to say is, like, eventually, if this keeps growing, hopefully, this list, we're going to have to figure something else out.
Hopefully we run into an issue with what to do regarding the list. That's all I'm going to say about that one.
We're going to have one of the TikTok voices read it all at the end. So I don't have to do it anymore. Thanks for listening to the episode, everyone.
Have a good week.